The night of uninvited guests. At 18, I found myself alone in our family home during the beginning of summer. My parents had traveled out of town, a routine occurrence, leaving me to enjoy some solitude. That night, I was deep into binge-watching a favorite show on Netflix, simultaneously scrolling through social media on my phone. Around midnight, a sudden knock at the door broke the tranquility. Hesitantly, I paused the TV and approached the door. Through the peephole, two men in matching attire stared back, seemingly waiting for someone to answer. Unnerved, I chose silence, hoping they'd leave. Instead, they called out, seeking my parents by name, a detail I had purposely altered here for privacy. Confused yet cautious, I remained silent, tracking their movements. They conversed briefly and left the porch, disappearing into the darkness without a vehicle, which was peculiar and unsettling. I returned to my show, but the unease lingered. Minutes later, I heard footsteps outside, growing closer. They circled the house, eventually tampering with the back door. Seizing the moment, I grabbed my phone and concealed myself in the garage, frantically calling the police. A loud pop echoed through the house as the back door gave way. Footsteps thundered inside, moving directly upstairs. An eerie silence followed, broken only by the arrival of the police. The intruders were apprehended upstairs, still refusing to reveal their intentions. Despite their capture, the thought of their possible intentions, especially towards my parents, haunted me. The campers' sinister intent. Living in the outskirts of a mid-sized town in Wyoming offers a unique solitude. My modest home, cozily situated on a vast plot of land, was my sanctuary. This unsettling event unfolded 4 years ago during a relentless spring rain. One evening, as I enjoyed the comfort of my home, an unexpected knock at the door startled me. To my surprise, a young man, drenched and distressed, stood there. He claimed to have been camping nearby and requested shelter for the night. His story seemed plausible given the downpour, but a nagging sense of danger held me back. I offered him a phone call for a ride, but he declined and left, disappearing into the rainy night. Hours later, an orange glow from a campfire caught my attention. Peering through the window, I saw the same man beside the fire, holding what appeared to be a rifle. I called the police, reporting his suspicious presence. As I awaited their arrival, I noticed him approaching the house, now aggressively banging on the door. Fearfully, I armed myself and prepared to confront him. In a desperate attempt to deter him, I fired a warning shot which luckily drove him away. The police arrived to discover buried items near the campfire, suggesting the man had premeditated criminal intentions. The incident left me with lingering fears and unanswered questions about his motives. The masked visitor in the dark. After my mother's passing, I decided to move into her small house, partly as a tribute and partly for financial reasons. The house, nestled in a quiet neighborhood, seemed like a peaceful retreat. However, one night, this illusion was shattered. Awoken by the sound of a door closing, I assumed it was my mother returning from work early. But as I lay there, listening to the footsteps pacing around the house, a chilling realization dawned on me. It wasn't her. Gripped by fear, I cautiously explored, only to discover a masked man seated at the dining table, his black attire blending into the shadows. He sat motionless, his gaze fixed on me, emanating a palpable sense of menace. I retreated upstairs, locked myself in my room, and dialed 911. The encounter in rural silence. My life in a rural home was usually uneventful, marked by the occasional interaction with a neighbor or a trip into town. One late fall day, as I was storing tools and equipment in preparation for winter, an unusual sight caught my attention. A man, devoid of any belongings, wandering down the road. After he vanished, I returned to my tasks, dismissing the incident as an oddity. However, that night, a loud thud from my shed jolted me from my dinner. Grabbing my rifle for protection, I ventured outside to investigate. The shed door was inexplicably open, yet nothing seemed out of place inside. As I secured the shed and headed back, an unnerving feeling crept over me. Back inside, I discovered muddy shoe prints leading to the spare bedroom. Confronted by an angry man wielding a shovel, I was forced to defend myself. He eventually fled into the night, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a lingering sense of unease about his possible return. The Airbnb intruder. My first experience using Airbnb turned into a nightmare I couldn't have imagined. Driving to a small, seemingly deserted town, I arrived at a cozy-looking house, which contrasted starkly with the empty streets. Inside, I found comfort in the simplicity of the place and soon retired to bed. However, sleep eluded me, and a series of thuds and creaks heightened my unease. The sounds morphed into footsteps, slowly approaching my room. In a split second, the door was forced open, revealing a man with a look of rage in his eyes. After a frantic struggle, I managed to secure the door and call for help. The intruder's desperation to enter my room and his subsequent escape left me deeply disturbed, questioning his motives and the risks of staying in unfamiliar places. Intrusion in the rental house. My peaceful stay at a rental house was disrupted by unexplainable events. The first night, I was awoken by footsteps and a softly closing door. Nothing was amiss, except for the unlocked front door. The following evening, after a thorough check of the house, a large man suddenly slammed the bedroom door shut, then ransacked the living and kitchen areas before fleeing. The police couldn't find him or determine his motives, leaving me with unnerving questions about his presence and what he might have been seeking. The Craigslist stalker. A simple Craigslist transaction turned sinister when I realized the interested buyer was following me. The man, driving an old rusted sedan, seemed to inspect my house from the outside before vanishing into the night. Panicked, I called the police when I saw him lurking in my backyard. He fled, leaving his car behind, which turned out to be clean of any identifying information. The incident left me fearing for my safety and wondering about his intentions. As we close this chapter of spine-chilling tales, remember, the world is full of mysteries waiting to be unraveled. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more eerie adventures. Hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest uploads. Until next time, keep the lights on and stay curious. Who knows what shadows lurk in the corners of our world? Sweet dreams, or perhaps not so sweet. Good night, brave souls.